So now we're going to hear about Abram and the birth of his two sons. Now, when God first appeared to Abram, he told him that he would give Abram and his wife Sarai children. So God appeared to Abram when he was 75 and his wife was 65 and said, if you do what I tell you to do, your descendants are going to be countless. Well, it's 10 years later now. Abram is now 85 and his wife Sarai was 75. They didn't have any children yet. And this was from Genesis chapter 16, verses 15. Sarai believed that God prevented her from having any children. So she decided, well, God promised us kids. It's not happening, so we need to take matters into our own hands. I guess God couldn't, in her mind, do what he said he was going to do. So Sarah had this idea that, hey, Abram, I don't think God's going to let me have children like he said he would, so you should take my servant Hagar and make her your second wife and have children with her. And Abram said, okay. So he took Sarai's servant Hagar, married her, slept with her, and she got pregnant with a son. And God told him, since she became pregnant, that you should name this son that you have with your second wife, Hagar, you should name this son Ishmael, and that's what they did. Now, having a second wife caused a lot of conflict between the first wife, Sarai, and the second wife, Hagar. Do you think? Having two wives usually is not a good idea. Yeah, I think they might fight a little bit. So, because of this, Sarai began to mistreat Hagar, who was her servant, but also Abram's second wife now. Now, the angel of the Lord came to Hagar, who was miserable because of this. And he told Hagar that her son Ishmael would have countless offspring, but he himself would be a wild, rebellious man when he grew up. And you could read this in Genesis chapter 16. God appeared to Abram when he was 99 years old now. So this is like 14 years later. Okay, so when he was 85 and Sarai was 75, Sarai thought, well, God told us we're going to have kids. I guess he can't do it or won't do it, so you should have kids with my servant Hagar. Well, God comes back now 14 years later. Now Abram's 99, Sarai's 89. And God told Abram again that if he followed God, God would make a great nation from his descendants. Kings would be his offspring, and God would give them the land of Canaan as their everlasting possession. God made a covenant with Abram on this promise. For Abram's part, every male offspring would be circumcised throughout generations. Then God changed Abram's name to Abraham and his wife Sarai's name to Sarah. Now you see what will happen is many times in the Bible, not every time, but many times, when God decides to use somebody and the person agrees to cooperate with God, we have free will. God will never force you to do stuff. He'll ask you, and you have free will to do what he asks you or not. I would suggest you do it because you'll be greatly blessed. But when he asks people to do something, if they agree, a lot of times in the Bible they'll change their name. It's almost as if this is who you were before I, God, came into your life. Now you're working for me. You're doing things for me, and I love you, and you're a new person, so I'm giving you a new name. So God changed Abram's name to Abraham and Sarai's name to Sarah. God told Abraham that he would have a son with his wife Sarah, who was now 90. Now remember, they both thought, ooh, okay, well, you're 85 and I'm 75. We're too old. God can't give us children. God's coming back 14 years later saying, oh, really? You didn't think I could give you, Sarah, a son at 75? How about if I give you a son at 90 to show that I'm God and I can do whatever I say I'm going to do? And God told him that this son that Abram would have with Sarah when she was 90 would be the son that God would establish his covenant through of making a great nation. And as God said, the next year at age 90, and for Sarah, and at age 100 for Abraham, Sarah had his son. They named the son Isaac. So that's in Genesis chapter 17, 18, and 21. Now, this is very important. What Abraham learned through experience was if God says something, if God makes a promise, he will keep it. Even if in a natural it looks like, how could this be? This looks impossible. He learned if God says he's going to do something, he can do it no matter what. He made all the laws of nature. He could change them. He could do miracles. And he learned that, wow, okay, God gave my wife a son at 90. And like he said he would. I thought that was impossible. But he did it. And he learned from this. You see how this comes in a big, big play very soon. Now, Isaac, as he grew as a young child, Hagar, Abraham's second wife, remained living with them and with their other son, Ishmael. Sarah became jealous and commanded Abraham to put out Hagar and Ishmael because Sarah did not want Ishmael to be an heir along with her son, Isaac. Abraham did not want to do this to his son, Ishmael. God appeared to Abraham and told him that it was okay if he told Hagar and Ishmael that they needed to go. God promised Abraham that he would make a great nation out of Ishmael because Ishmael was Abraham's offspring. Therefore, Abraham sent Hagar, his second wife, and Ishmael, his first son, away. God looked after and took care of both of them, and you could read that in Genesis chapter 21, verses 8 to 21. God puts Abraham to a great test. Now, in my opinion, it's just my